Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thought I'd have a quick talk about this. Got a new helmet. And I may as well. I've got no petrol left, and I've forgot my wallet. And I knew I had no petrol this morning, but I had enough petrol to get to work, and then I leave work and go to the petrol station. So the plan was all good. But I've managed to screw that plan out by forgetting my wallet. So I actually stopped at the petrol station on my way home, with my rangefinder having said, you have no petrol, you have no miles worth of petrol left, for as soon as I've left the office. And yeah, so I'm riding home on vapours basically. So we'll see how I get on. I might conk out as we're tootling along. But I'm going to be riding along incredibly unaggressively. So, baby lamb, hey baby lamb, hello. Looks like he was having a bit of a rock on, dudes. So yeah, so whilst I'm riding along incredibly passively, may as well have a bit of a blether on my helmet, which is a new helmet, and it's not just a new helmet to me. It's a new helmet to the world-ish. I think they've only been out for 6 months, 12 months, I don't know. And there's not a lot out there written about them. So I thought I'd chuck in my tuppence worth. So the helmet in question is a Nexx XD... That's it, isn't it? No, XD1. Nexx XD1 is what my helmet is. My new helmet. It's about a week old to me. And the reason I wanted to have a little yabber about it is there's not a lot of people out there. There you go. There's not a lot of people out there. And what those not a lot of people are saying is mostly positive, because at the minute most of the people out there who are talking about it are people who are trying to sell it. So they may come up with a couple of little minor points, but they're not going to really say this is rubbish or this is rubbish. So what I discovered when I was looking up at information about this helmet and doing a bit of research, was there wasn't a lot. It was quite hard to get a good sense of what it was like, and in the end I just bought it and thought, if it's rubbish I can send it back. Good old modern world. So I've got it and it's quite cool. So what I thought I'd do is have a waffle, just trying to, I don't want to brake so I'm running out of fuel, but there's somebody on the apex of the corner, and there's mud, and there's a stupid duke. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. And so yes, I mean, what you could do is you could go and do what I did, just have a look at the Web Bike World or whatever it was, or Ford Motorcycles or Revzilla. They've all got like little video reviews of it. There is one guy who seems to have a bit of a chat about it. Oh, there's a video. But most of the user reviews seem to be pretty good. But within those user reviews are consistent negativities. And those were the things I was concerned about. And those are actually the things that I would like to put to bed. Okay? So, Nexx XD1 helmet. Go and I'll put a link in somewhere. I don't know how you do that thing. I'll put a link somewhere that takes you to Revzilla and all the other ones and stuff. So if you want to just have it's a lovely helmet, this is all the features, then you can have a look at those. But the negativities that people pointed out, and one of them is one of the ones that the guy Anthony from Revzilla mentions, but it's a teeny weeny one. So the negatives that some of the people point out about this are quality of the plastics for the fastenings. I don't know if you can see one of the fastenings up here. I don't think you can on the camera. that keep the peak and the visor in place. The wobbliness of this, the peak extender. The cheek pads keep falling out when you take your helmet off. And the, what else? The visor, if you put the pin lock in the visor, you can't shut it. There's another gripe a couple of people seem to have. And then there's one about the fact that there aren't enough sort of D10T keep your visor in place slots. So let's start with the last of those ones and work our way backwards, or in some random order. So what I mean by the clickety detent bits is, so there's a detent that means that the visor is sort of sprung naturally to stay here, here, and here, or thereabouts. Now my last helmet, it was a lot more. There was a lot more of those little clickety detenty bits. And I suppose what they're pointing out is that, and certainly when it was hot, I used to like to ride along with my visor open about that much on my old helmet. And at any kind of speed, with any kind of wind in your face, that'll just push down to about there. Now it's a bit of a minor point, to be perfectly honest, for two reasons. One, if you have a look at the way the detents work, basically it's like there's three little holes next to the pivot hole on the side of the visor. There's a hole for a little thing to slot in about here, one about here, and one about here. And if you really wanted to, you could just drill another hole in your visor, and that would create another detent. You wouldn't be validating the warranty of the helmet, because if you had a problem with the helmet and needed to send it back, you could just buy another visor, which wouldn't have your extras dodgy drilled in hole, and probably be a good one. But up to you. Okay, I'm just going to have a wiggle just to see if I can shake a bit more petrol around in my fuel tank. And then the other thing that makes that a bit of a non-issue is the fact that actually with this kind of, you've got the kind of shut position there, and then you've got the sort of the cracked open position there. To be honest, there is plenty of ventilation at this cracked open position, such that I have absolutely, I mean, I thought, I figured out, I thought I could stick an extra detent in there, I'll get my drill out, but I'll leave it for a while and see how I get on, because if I don't need to do it, I won't do it. And to be honest, I can't see myself needing to do it. Because it's plenty cool enough, just like that. There's a lot of venting in this helmet, it's really good. So I think it's a non-issue to start with, okay? So don't worry about that. And what are the other ones? I can't remember. Let's get into the biggies. Let's get into the whole pin lock thing and the whole cheek pad thing. And these are very related because, and the reason that they're so related is because it's to do with people not reading the flipping instructions. Okay, so the pin lock is specifically designed to go in the helmet. It comes with the pin lock in the box. It comes right with the little pins in the side. Actually, they're better than the normal pin lock pins. Actually, they're proper little screwed in things. And there's a ridge at the top of the visor on the inside that the pin lock sits below. The top of the pin lock sits below. It's a bit hard to describe really, but if you get one of these and you have a look, you'll see what I mean. So I mean, it's not just, oh, here's a pin lock and it'll go inside this visor. You know, the people that, when they've made this visor and thought about how to design it, they've put some thought into it, and they've made sure that actually that the pin lock is integrated into the design of the visor. So when people are putting the visor in and then finding they can't shut the visor, they're putting the pin lock in wrong. They're putting the pin lock in so that it's too far up, so that it's lipping over this rim. And I know this because that's what I did first time I put it in. I was like, oh no, the thing about the pin locks is true. And it's not, it's cobblers. And I shall demonstrate. I have the pin lock in, okay, watching, and there it is open. I've just ridden over some glass, and there it is shut, and there it is open, and there it is shut. If you can't get the pin lock to shut, it's because you've put the pin lock in the visor wrong. Okay, it's as simple as that. So that's a non-issue. Don't worry. Anybody says the pin lock visor shutting thing is a thing, It's not. It's people doing it wrong. And there's not a lot wrong, but it is relatively easy to fix. Okay, you just make sure the pin lock's in right. Second thing, the emergency cheek pads, or the cheek pads, and how they fall out all the time. They never go back in. What's happening here, I would suggest, is people are using the emergency cheek pad system to pull the cheek pads out. Now, quite clearly says in the manual and on the sticker on the side of the helmet, use the emergency cheek pad system only in the event of an emergency. Okay, it does something different to the way that the cheek pads come out. Instead of the pins to keep the cheek pads in place coming out with the cheek pads, they stay in the helmet and the cheek pad slides off the pins. Okay, so what you'd have to do if you did do that is then pull the pins out, then insert them back into the back of the cheek pad, and then put the cheek pad back in like you would any other normal cheek pad. What they say, if you want to remove the cheek pads, and if you watch their own videos of people removing the cheek pads, they go up into the body of the helmet and they yank the cheek pads out like they would any other normal cheek pad. Okay, not using the tug them down out the bottom of the helmet method, but they pull them out first and then pull them out. Okay, so the cheek pads falling out of the helmet thing is a non-issue. It's people doing it wrong. 3.4 litres per mile, 29 miles per litre. Boom. So you've just got to pull the cheek pads out like you would a normal cheek pad. Okay, and so it's not an issue. All right. Final two things: the wibbliness of the extender cap bit. It's not an issue as far as I can make out. Maybe I've just not been in strong enough winds, I don't know. Okay, but I can't, it's not a problem for me. And finally, the quality of the plastics I'm not going to comment on, because I've only had my helmet a week. Yes, I've taken the visor on and off a few times and the peak on and off a few times and all the rest of it, but you know, I certainly haven't had it for a year, and I haven't been faffing about with it and doing all sorts of stuff. And yeah, I would say don't be ham-fisted with it or anything, but it seems fine. So yeah, if you want to go and find out more about the helmet, go and see other people who know a lot more about me than this sort of thing. But yeah, that's just I was just thinking there might be a few people out there umming and ahhing, not sure, looking for, as I was a dual sport, because it's got a peaked helmet with an internal drop visor that isn't flip front. And you search for one of those, and if you come up with more than 2 helmets in the UK, then you've done better than me, because that's all I could find. Anyway, adios. I'm supposed to have made it this far, actually. Cool. Oh, and a quick joke. Man's trying to train his dog, but it won't do anything. Won't sit, won't come here. And then a Spanish man goes, "Oi, Senor, let me speak to your dog." I don't know if that's very Spanish or not. So he starts speaking to the dog, and the dog starts listening to him. It's like, whoa, how did you do that? How did you manage to train my dog? He says, it is easy, Senor. You need to speak to your dog in Spanish because he is Espanol. Sorry. Bye.